and welcome back to the Star Trek Convention. I'm Heather Ferris, your unofficial host for STLV 2019, and I am joined with Fred and Rocky, and we are about to watch the Ferengi Family panel. I am so excited. I love these guys. These guys are so fun.
So bring plenty of gold-plated latinum and
yes.
Remember your rules.
And remember your rules. And join us.
And enjoy the fun.
Okay, you guys, we'll see you afterwards. Have fun.
Hi guys, love you.
What do you know? We're back on planet Earth again.
Yes, are we late? Did we make it here on time?
Wait for what?
For the Picard series.
No, I think we're a year early.
I just ordered CBS Access and I gotta pay for it for a whole year?
Do you need CBS All Access for only $5.99 a month?
Oh, all access.
Oh, that sounds creepy.
And when I say all, my teeth fall out.
Yes, they do.
Wait.
Let's see it again.
No, it's just CBS Access for me.
No, try all.
I can't
Not all.
Don't make me say it.
Say it.
All.
There's nothing like watching your father touch his dentures.
Oh dear.
CBS All Access. And your favorite show, The Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone, I guess that must be it.
So what are we going to do for a full year? What did we come here on time for?
We're going to watch the documentary of Deep Space.
The DS9 documentary!
What we left behind!
Yes!
Has anybody else watched it?
I know what we left behind. Uncle Quark.
I know, and I
Yes,
wish
he's
you
not
were here.
Yes, Uncle Quark isn't here.
I never knew you were so funny.
Well, there's not a lot of laughter happening quite yet.
Right.
Hopefully it'll come. As soon as they actually stop, then we know to go to questions.
Well, I think it's time.
I think so.
Wow.
Why do you keep staring at me?
Because there's nothing else to do.
Because I'm so proud of my son.
Aww. Well, apparently you didn't see the DS9 documentary.
What? R.I.P. Nog.
What?
Nothing.
I think maybe what you said about questions, might be a good time.
Well, we don't know. Is anybody up here for questions yet?
You see, this is the whole point is that the writers did a much better job at writing us than we do.
I'm moving over here.
Well, I can ask questions. I have a question for my father.
Can I ask you, you haven't worn this uniform in 25 years or so.
That's not true.
20.
I wore it 1 year ago today, and it's a little bit tighter today than it was then. I had a little bit too much root beer and a few extra donuts, and there's a little bit more jiggle in my wiggle. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I was going to ask you how you stayed in such good shape.
Oh. Root beer and donuts.
Don't you mean Sluggo-Cola?
Sluggo-Cola?
Sluggo-Cola. I remember
Sluggo.
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 It's Sluggo-Cola for you and me. The cola for discriminating Ferengi.
Hey.
It's inexpensive but never free. The slimiest cola in the galaxy. Drink Sluggo-Cola and drink a lot. Your gums will bleed and your teeth will rot. After Damo, it hits the spot. Your movie's gonna love it.
Whether they like it or not. It's Sluggo-Cola for you and me.
Hey!
Cola for discriminating Ferengi.
It's inexpensive but never free. The slimiest cola in the galaxy.
Sluggo Cola.
You wrote that. You wrote that. That was in our first...
For the Ferengi Family Hour.
What was it? I lost track of the subject.
Well, I was going to ask you a question, but we went past that.
Okay.
Who here has seen, in fact, the Ferengi Family Hour? Well, it's time to revamp the Ferengi Family Hour, I guess, because it's like Donnie and Marie, but for Ferengi. And
it was a whole...
people loved it.
A whole Wizard of Oz
People
parallel.
indeed did love it.
I think, do you have questions here? Is this a question line?
Ron wants to get to the questions right away.
No,
They're taking a photo. I don't know what that pose is, though. I just wanted it. Go ahead, questions. I'm just having fun with the two photographers down here.
I have a question for Chase.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you. So, what do you think happened to Leeta when she got to Ferengi?
Well,
That's a great question. Sorry, that's a great question.
That is a great question. Thank you so much. I know that she is standing up for the rights of women.
Yes.
I know that she is definitely standing up for the rights of women to wear clothing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Especially as years go by. You know, I heard that Leeta and Ram, in one of the novels, had a child. Now, I'm wondering, what would that be like? Cleavage with ears? I mean, that's just terrifying. So, I don't know about that. I'll reserve, but Ram and I have been married for a while. So we're an old couple. So it's like, Ram, did you take out the trash? That's all I can think of. Thank you. She's also working on her charity, which I'll tell you about later, but I don't want to take up too much time.
You know, though, an interesting aspect of what is going on Ferengi at this time, in a little bit more serious note, is we have a very progressive leader on Ferengi. We also have a Ferengi that is the first Ferengi to go into Starfleet. Two very different trajectories for Ferengi. So I'm curious, Max or Ron, what do you think is going on Ferengi in that aspect? Meaning, some Ferengi would be inspired by the two of us, but others would give into fear of too much change and would be rebelling against both of us. Yeah? You understand what I'm saying? It would be an interesting dynamic going on Ferengi, and how do you think you would handle that as Grand Nagus? Next question.
Aren't we Ferengi the comic relief of Deep Space Nine?
Sometimes. But then did you watch the documentary?
Well, I am a fiscal conservative, but that leans left on social issues.
So you're like a social democrat. You're like Bernie Sanders on Ferengi.
We're not talking politics.
I thought we weren't.
No, but I just wanted to see your impression of Bernie Sanders.
I never meant to go there.
I want to just go back to that last question for a moment, and I'm sorry, I have a better answer now than I did then, which ties into this, which is Leeta is showing the Ferengi. Money isn't everything.
Yes!
People are more important than money, and that our values need to be in human beings and in the rights of everyone to be who they are, and I think that's wherever you are. Thank you again for that question. We need to show all the Ferengi that people are our most important currency, that they are the most important thing that we can focus on.
And aspiring to be better or more than what you think you are, or what others tell you you have to be.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about our relationship is that I was inspired by what you weren't, and I in turn inspired you by what I strove to become.
And isn't that what we love best about the Ferengi?
And Star Trek.
Too deep, and what we love best about Star Trek.
Absolutely.
And back to that question, and thank you again for that, is that it's the opposite things that attract us in life, and the differences. And Ram, you were not just any Ferengi, and that's why you're Grand Nagus now, right? It's your heart. It's your heart.
I think we stunned Max right now as well. He's stunned.
It's his heart that made him the Grand Nagus.
Wait, I don't want to see that. I don't want to.
And then, okay.
I'm here.
And then is doing wonderful things. Leeta and Rob are doing wonderful social issue things on Ferenginar, and that's my answer.
She was about to give him umox in front of his son.
Oh, shush.
Just saying.
Petting him gently. Never mind. Next question.
Whether it's gently or firmly, I don't want to see that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I must add, I want to add that I do think it's not so easy for Rom to keep his position as Grand Nagus. I think there would be a tremendous struggle
Yes.
on Ferenginar for power.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's not all.
But
Yeah,
love always wins, right?
maybe down the road.
And people with good, important social values always win.
Progress
Right?
takes time.
And love is progress.
Whoa.
And we have another question.
Yes, I don't want to make a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the documentary, but I was wondering your reactions to the theoretical opening episode of what would be a future season and the unfortunate circumstances that happened to Nog.
That's for you, son.
Yes, it would be.
Well, I think she was asking your opinions too, but
Hi,
obviously it's a very difficult question to answer without everybody understanding what you're alluding to, right? All I can say is if there's any kids in the house right now, parents, just do that. And I'm going to give you one gesture that will epitomize my feelings to what this woman has asked me. So I'll give you 2 seconds to cover your children's eyes. After that, I am no longer responsible for what they see.
Are you covering your eyes, Rob?
I don't want my uniform to tear, so I'm bring my hand down now. Did everybody see that? That was my reaction to the beginning of season 8.
The universal translator.
Nobody, the universal translator, everybody understood that. Even on Ferenginar, they understand that.
No, at least you're in season 8. Right, Rob?
Can I say though that
Actually, I think if you look at the documentary, I know you see Rom's name on the board.
Oh, okay.
So there's the second episode because there's no way. Okay, but that's all I can say.
I must say, if you're a DS9 fan, if you're really a DS9 fan, I think you have to see the documentary at least 10 times or so.
At least 10.
I'm working on it.
Just for that. Sorry if you took your hand away from your child by now.
Those are documentaries, my life. You have to see it, right?
It actually is a wonderful documentary on our show.
It really is wonderful. Ira delved so beautifully into all of the issues that he, oh, I'm Chase again, sorry. All of the issues that he wanted to put into Deep Space Nine, and that he really did for the most part. There's one issue that he didn't give himself a full check for. We'll save that for you guys who don't want to do spoilers.
Good teeth.
But we good teeth. But good nose. But he really talks very thoroughly about all of the social issues behind Deep Space Nine, which had incredible breadth. I mean, that's why we're still here 25 years later, right? That's why you're still here. Because this show said important things.
And I have, they gave me some DVDs, so you can come by my table anytime this week. I have some Blu-ray DVDs if you would like to purchase one of the documentary, if you are so inclined.
And in fact, you're doing a podcast, aren't you, about...
Yes, I have a friend here today, my best friend. Maybe he'll stand up. Jake Sisko is in the house. Where are you, Jake? He might be in the backstage with my wife Melissa. Him and I are doing a podcast called The Seventh Rule. We're currently watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine for the first time for both of us. and we're talking about each episode. And it's really wonderful how strong our show is. And at the moment, up to storyteller, my favorite character, which I never thought I would say as Nog, is Odo. Because Renee is phenomenal. He's so good. And Avery Brooks, it's just, we just have such a strong, powerful show. And I know where we're going to get to, but there was a lot of criticism of the first 2 seasons of it. And I honestly believe, watching through it now, that was unwarranted. Because they have done a very, very good job of writing these characters and developing them without exposition. They do it very well. And while there's 2 not so good, Q-less and Move Along Home, okay. Those were not the best. Those were not the best. They were okay, but I was critical of them. And the best thing about the 7th Rule is Sirach Lofton. A lot of you don't know him very well, and he is a very intelligent, warm, and thoughtful man who gives really great insight to our show. And the best thing about it is our friendship that's growing through this podcast. That's the thing I enjoy the most. So I hope you check it out. Thank you for bringing it up, Chase. The 7th Rule, so thank you. Okay, I've talked too much.
No, it's okay. Sirach truly is lovely. Wherever you are, Sirach, we love you so much. And we miss Ira Bear, don't we? I wish he was here at this convention. But it really is just a huge tribute to the writer and leader that he was for this show.
And can I bring something back on DS9 and bring it over to my good friend Max, plays Rom. One of the greatest things at the beginning that was really interesting was how Rom's character was very Ferengi. Abusive to me as Nog, when he grabs my arm and throws me in the classroom. And then he talks to Keiko, little lady. Very funny. But you see a change when you get to the Negus and Vortex, right? Very cowardly in Vortex. And the change that Ira mentioned was the line where Odo says, Rom couldn't fix a bent straw. Y'all remember that line? Yeah. And Ira told Sirach and I down in San Diego Comic-Con that was a defining moment for him in how he saw you and Quark. And your character changed after that. But the thing that I find most interesting is you didn't have a conversation with Ira about that. So how did you change your character from the typical Ferengi Rom to, I'm an idiot, brother. I'm so sorry, brother.
That was excellent.
Thank you. I can do my Bernie Sanders impression. No, I won't. I'm just kidding. So honestly, though, it was such a beautiful transition. It was seamless that I don't think you could pick up on it. And then you developed this amazing character that had this fantastic arc over the 7 years.
Can we talk about that later?
Well, we don't have a question. We do.
We have. Okay, yes.
Oh, I didn't see behind me.
All right, let's get that, yes.
But I want to hear that.
Yes.
Hi, guys. I realized that Nog and Rom and Leeta all started out as kind of secondary background characters, and they got to develop and shine a little bit during the series. What things did you really enjoy about playing your characters, and what things did you not like about how your characters were developing?
Did you say second rate?
Secondary.
Secondary.
Oh, sorry, my lobes. They're just not working like they used to.
Yeah, you guys are all awesome.
It was a joke. I was kidding. I was kidding.
I want to just start by saying, and I'll go back to what you really asked later, but I really love that secondary characters, quote unquote, not second rate, did have such a beautiful chance to shine in this world. It really fleshed out, it rounded out the world of Deep Space Nine. And it also shows us that, you know, people who you think might not have a story or as big a story, everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes you pay attention to the people who are in the shadows or off to the side or not really around that much. And you think, wow, who are they? And it must spike curiosity, you know? And I think that's really important as a lesson for life. You know, everybody's got a story. It's always important to keep that in mind.
What I liked was they gave me Leeta the Doppel girl.
Oh, Rom!
It was, you know, I came into the series with no expectations, so everything they gave me, you know, Leeta the Doppel girl, and getting my son, fighting for my son to get into Starfleet Academy, and we get married, and I formed a union and stand up for workers, and all that stuff they gave me was just, you know, maybe the grand natives of the Ferengi Empire. You can keep your clothes on, but all that stuff was just wonderful. So I can't complain about anything.
What was it? You can keep your clothes on? That was true and truly beautiful.
Should we go?
And I want to say, I love that Leeta got to be so compassionate and genuinely loving of what's important. Leeta, being a Doppelgirl, you wouldn't necessarily think would have the strongest values, and yet there the writers go again, making us, you know, question, you know, our first instincts, and to tell us that a book is not its cover, and that everyone goes deeper than what you see on the outside, and that Leeta was truly compassionate with values in place, who loved the boy, who was only pretty on the inside. No offense, honey, now you're beautiful.
Wow.
I see it.
Wow.
But really, who refused to have a prenup because love was going to last forever, and it has. And those are just all really wonderful values, I think, you know, standing up for the Ferengi Union. And those are really beautiful things that you wouldn't expect out of a lowly Doppelgirl.
Don't forget that Leeta don't forget that Leeta was with Dr. Bashir, the very good-looking, suave, debonair Dr. Bashir.
But you are so cute and very sexy. That was my line.
You know, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Okay.
Question here.
Yes.
Oh, I meant.
Tell about the evolution of Nog. He was
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question real quick so we can get to the other ones, Nog had such a wonderful story that was told, which is fundamental and core to Star Trek, of reaching higher and than you think you are, to really truly boldly go to follow and chase your dreams. That's one aspect. The other aspect that is really even more beautiful is transcending discrimination, racism, and building friendship between human and Ferengi. When even Sisko himself said, there is no common ground with Ferengi. There's no way to make that connection and that bond. And it took a son to teach his dad that he was wrong. I always practice by teaching Nog how to read. And if Jake didn't do that, the universe would have never been saved, because Nog would have never gone into Starfleet. And we need those connections. We need those friendships, because those are the connections and the emotional support that helps us realize and chase our dreams. And that was the most wonderful thing that I got to portray on Deep Space Nine.
And all those stories go toward us building a better world here and now, right?
Yeah.
So when the show was on the air, and even now, a lot of the father-son relationships that we see in film and television are often portrayed as pretty unhealthy. And with Rom and Nog, aside from the first few episodes, we see a lot of unwavering love and pride and loyalty in the relationship. And I was just wondering if you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back to...
I think you just did touch on that.
Yes, a little bit. We can tell a wonderful story of how that sometimes transcends to the actors, okay? And what we want to bring into a scene. And we had a disagreement of holding hands. And it's a funny disagreement because I usually get a vote for this. But it touches upon family dynamics, a father supporting his son, and the relationship that the two have. That basically inspires each other, right? Which I touched upon. in the episode where I had to go off to Starfleet, and he was walking me into the bar.
Because I was so proud of you.
Because you were so proud of me. But remember, I'm basically going off to college. Everybody hear that? To college. And as we walk in, Max the actor wants to hold my hand as I see Cisco and Kira and Worf and Dax, and he wants to hold my hand as I go in.
Because I'm so proud of you.
Because he's so proud of me. Kids know their parents are proud of them, so they don't want to hold the hand. And they don't want to be embarrassed in front of their boss, in front of their professor, their best friend, or the colonel that they might have a crush on.
If my father extended his hand, one of the ways I knew my father loved me was that he held his hand out and would take mine. And I loved that you got into Starfleet Academy.
Right.
And I was so proud of you. And that's why, so actors, you know, they have a life, and what happens in their life, they when it fits, they bring to the screen. So that's why I was my father taking my son's hand. And I know you're never going to let go of this subject.
But no, but it's okay, well, face the audience a little bit. But yes, because it's a very, well, as it's a good story to tell on how actors sometimes find a compromise. And I said to Max, I was like, there's no way I would hold my dad's hand walking in to see my captain, the colonel, the science officer as I go off to Starfleet. Correct? Who would want to hold their parents' hand as they walked into the bar?
That's the exact scene. This is the scene.
Yeah, this is actually so. So I said there's no way a kid's going to do that at that age. So we had an impasse. But like all things in Star Trek, and as Cisco said, we find ways to find common ground. We find ways to solve problems. Right? Would you not agree? So what we did is I said, okay, you can hold my hand until we round the corner.
We went to Armin. We said, Armin, we're fighting.
Yeah. But what we did is we decided, I said, I'll let go as we round the corner before I walk in. And that's how two actors found a solution to a very honest family dynamic and problem.
Yeah. In my neighborhood, it would have been okay.
Well, I didn't grow up in your neighborhood.
I don't know if we answered the question.
It's a story based on that, and I think what I said earlier really plays upon how beautiful they really did parenting, both with Cisco and Jake, Rom and Nog, O'Brien, Keiko Damali, and the family dynamics that they really decided to make part of the story on Deep Space Nine is one of the best parts of Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
Hi. First, I just want to say Deep Space Nine is something that I've been, well, I watched it first run starting in '93, and I've watched it 3 times through now, and it always it gets better every time I watch it.
Oh, thank you.
So my question, and also, like, I think one of the strengths of Deep Space Nine is the development of the, all the different characters and the secondary characters, and it's just fantastic. So this question is for Chase. What was a favorite part for you of the development of Leeta's character over the years?
Thank you. I really think that the purposeful breakup with Bashir. I mean, let's face facts. Leeta and Bashir were like the Barbie and Ken of Star Trek. Leeta and Rom are like the Lucy and Ricky of Star Trek, right? Just leaving so much more room for fun and drama and comedy and all of the things that we had. So that was really important. I think that, they also wanted to keep Dr. Bashir single for the ladies, is what we were told. No,
same with Nog.
That's...
Of course.
I was just throwing it down.
Oh, no. All right. So I really loved that was her value system, and I think that is so important that we really grasp onto that in every way that it means that people need to be valued for who they are, for exactly who they are. and not just tolerated, but celebrated, like really cherished, like bold-faced, yay you, whoever you are, you get to be you. And that is the heart of Star Trek. That's the heart, that's IDIC, you know, in living color. It was Leeta and Rom. And it really just, you know, just cherishing someone for who they are, and being bold enough to do that in the face of other people not, right? Being bold enough to make a stand and say, he is amazing, I love him, stand down, you know? To Quark and other things. So that does tie in with my charity, which I so want to tell you guys about, but I don't want to take too much time here because there's more people in line. But somebody ask me about that, please, okay? That's it for me.
You know, listening to that, that's what Jake Sisko did with his father, also, with Nog. But it's interesting listening to what you said. Spot on. Spot on.
Yeah.
Or I don't know which side.
Good stuff. Thank you again for that question. Yes.
What's up, John?
What's going on, Aaron? Figured to put you on the spot. So, with DS9 essentially setting the tone for future Trek series as far as being not episodic, but, you know, story arcs that span entire seasons or more, how well do you think that set the tone for modern day television like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and so on and so forth?
Oh, me? What do I think? Or all of us?
All of you.
Yeah. So,
I don't understand.
So basically, DS9 set a tone of a serialized show. Stories that continue on from episode to episode.
And that was not easy for Ira Ira had to fight for that.
He really went to
the
that.
The studio does not like serial shows. They like one show that stands alone.
But,
yes.
Remember, Sauron took its gaze off of DS9 and put it upon Voyager. So Ira and the writing crew were allowed to pretty much do what they wanted to do and make the show that they truly believed in.
Preach it, son.
What?
Preach it.
I'll preach it. And one of the things that was really interesting that Sirach and I learned from Ira was Rick gave in a lot to Ira for the writing, but he was adamant about how it was shot. Very, very static, singles, no moving cameras. He really didn't want a lot of that. It was really interesting to hear how the two of them work together, which you can also get a little bit more of in the documentary. But to answer your question, did it set the tone? That's an interesting question. I don't know. At the time, X-Files was also serialized. So that was another show. I'm pretty sure Babylon 5 was also serialized. So there were a lot of shows, especially in our genre, that kind of went in that direction. But I think technology really allowed writers to do that. I think once Netflix came in, DVRs, I think then they felt that they were more given that reign to make shows like Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and plus that's on HBO. So they're given a little bit more latitude. So I think it's a combination of different things, you know, and times change, you know, and that would be my 2 cents on that.
I do think it was Deep Space Nine because DS9 was the first serialized show in syndication. And that was especially fought for by Ira. And you ought to understand, right, the reason that studios didn't at that time like syndicated shows, right? Because if you didn't watch last week, then you probably won't be watching this week. So the reason I think that the show went syndicated was that that the show was serialized, was that Ira had faith in his storytelling, and he had faith in his audience that you guys would tune in week after week to make the show a success. And it was a big risk, because what if you didn't? Then you wouldn't watch next week, then it would be harder to watch the next week, and so on. But he had faith that you guys cared about story and about Star Trek in this light. And that was a beautiful thing. Obviously, it changed the face of television. So our writers are truly amazing.
But DS9 has, like a fine wine, become much more enjoyed these days than I think it was back then.
Because it's easier to watch.
It is, because of DVR, because of Netflix, and what have you. And I think that's why we see a strong resurgence of DS9 and the love for the show with all of the fans and all of you who have continued to cheer on the show. So thanks, John.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Ira predicted that. He told us in the 5th season, he said this is going to be more popular with streaming than it is now, and it's true.
He also predicted a few investments that didn't pan out, but another conversation we don't have time for.
Okay.
I guess he hit one thing correct.
Yes.
Hi, I really liked the DS9 documentary. It was really well done. I really was hoping that Ira would be here because he talked about it year after year after year.
Yes.
And would have been nice to end up having him here. But they talked a little bit about Armin Shimmerman, and how actors would go to his house for, I guess...
He had the best donuts.
Yeah, for rehearsals, etc. And I'm wondering if you guys can talk a little bit about the experiences there at his house and how that ended up helping make the show better.
I could speak to being a guest star on various TV series, and they give you your lines, and you get your lines, and you practice them at home, maybe with your wife, maybe alone, and then you get on the set and you meet the people you're working with for the first time. You've gone into makeup. You have maybe 10 minutes of rehearsal while they're setting up the cameras. And that's all you get. That's all you get. So acting, you know, when you are a guest star, it's a great job. But if you can go to someone's house, I mean, you're getting 10 minutes of rehearsal, as opposed to what Armin would invite us over, everybody in the episode, and we would go through the scenes piece by piece and discuss them and do it again and again. We would rehearse at his house, essentially. So that gave us such a leg up when we got on the set. It's usually not done that way, you know, but it was a wonderful thing.
It also builds our relationships up off camera, which translates on camera. Because we start to get to know each other, trust each other, and it helps working together. I will be honest and say Max and I were the most neurotic, and we always went to Armin to solve our problems, as he said earlier. Armin was literally the ambassador of our show and the leader of us Ferengi. The only thing he didn't help me with was the dance, but thankfully Kira was there, Nanam, who did. But those rehearsals, like with Jimmy Darren called me and said, would you like to come over and rehearse? And as Max articulated, that's golden, because you get to build a relationship with somebody that then you come to the set and you already have a personal relationship that hopefully positive, which it was with all of us, that you can then bring into the scene, and then there's a trust already built. And acting is truly about trusting. And it was a wonderful experience that Armin provided for all of us.
I think
camaraderie really helps.
That's
yeah.
true.
It's easy to feel like an imposter as a guest star. You know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Hey.
Hello, Chase.
Hi, Chris.
How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Doing wonderful.
I know
Thank
you guys. You know, we know you. Yes.
I absolutely love Mirror Leeta on Star Trek Online. I had two questions. First of all, how much fun was that to play? And my other question is, I keep hearing about this pop culture hero thing coalition. Can you explain that to me? I keep sort of hearing about that.
Thank you. At the risk of sounding like a commercial, I do absolutely love doing Star Trek Mirror Leeta in Star Trek Online.
Did you have a goatee?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
That's all that matters.
Everywhere, yeah. No, Admiral Leeta is a monster. She would eat the Borg Queen for breakfast and still be hungry. She is absolutely ferocious. I also have gotten to reprise Leeta, and you guys have done Star Trek Online, yes? I mean, it's really just fun, and they do have great stories. There is a bit more DS9 to be had on Star Trek Online. Pop Culture Hero Coalition owns my heart. I founded it in 2013. And it is the first ever nonprofit organization to actively work for real-life heroism over bullying, racism, misogyny, LGBTQI+ bullying, cyberbullying, and other forms of injustice, using pop culture stories from TV and film, like Star Trek, in schools. So we teach kids. inclusion, and we teach them kindness and empathy. We also teach them resilience And studies over a period of 20 years show that when kids learn these social emotional skills, they do better in every aspect of life. And Star Trek has so many of these lessons to offer. That's why we're here, right? We're not here for the makeup in it, we're here for the stories. And so we take those stories that we love and that kids love, and we use them as an easy portal to teach them wonderful life lessons. So important in this world today. So I will tell you, I've never made a dime off this work. I founded this 6.5 years ago. All of the money that we raise goes into our school programs. We also work at children's hospitals, and we have Comic-Con outreaches and stuff. So we've got our Be Kind t-shirts back here, and that all goes into our school outreaches. And we have I'll just say this one more thing, a 32 lesson plan curriculum. So it's not just like a pep rally, it's actually teaching kids over a period of time how to be kind. So thank you for asking.
Listen, I haven't watched the DS9 for a long time now. I know the part you two guys play, but I don't know the part you played. And which episodes were you in?
Oh, you didn't know what the characters we played?
Yeah, well, I know what the character you guys played, but the one is Sarah, I don't know who plays.
Chase.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I look pretty different, I'm sure. I played Leeta, the Dabo girl, and I came on in season 3, and I was in through season 7, and I dated Dr. Bashir, and I married this guy.
She's my wife.
Yeah. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Pas de quoi.
Over here.
My question is for Max. I love you as Rom, but I'm curious on, did you come up with his whole speech, the way he speaks, versus did the directors guide you in that area?
That goes to the earlier question, yeah? Microphone.
That's
the microphone.
That point.
Use the microphone.
Well, I'm not wearing my top teeth right now, but the teeth, with the top teeth, it kind of sounds like that. You know, it sounds like that. I really, but if I speak from the back of the throat and enunciate everything, I found that it makes Quark more annoyed with how slow I am. So I found that working for the character. It's very difficult to pronounce M and P. So if you see me sometimes, they say my money, you know, and it irritates the hell out of Quark. And the other thing I would say is the wardrobe is kind of tight. I mean, I almost still fit in this wardrobe, but it makes you kind of walk like this, which also annoys Quark because I'm not keeping up with him. But I'm trying to, but I'm trying not to surprise him. So that the wardrobe and the teeth influenced where that came from. I tried to fight it and it wasn't working.
Will you say Moogie for me?
Oh,
Yes.
oh, he needs a couple minutes. You gotta go center stage. Center stage. To everybody, take your time.
Yes, boss.
Make sure your teeth are correct.
Moogie.
As Max, to add on that, at the very beginning, you weren't playing Rom that way.
Oh, this
So
is the
how-
question you asked me that I tried to get out of answering.
Yes, you tried to get out answering it. But like a good Ferengi, I didn't forget. So, how did you change? You don't know?
No, I felt much more comfortable as, I think Rom is closer to Max. I think the later Rom is closer to Max than the bitchy kind of Rom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they just wrote it. I want to salute our writers, Ira Bear and Renee Maria and Ron Moore. And Hans Beiner. I'm leaving out some of the you like the show, it's
David
because
Weddle, Bradley Thompson.
if you like the show, it's because of the writers, and
Yeah,
they gave us such wonderful things to play.
Yes, they did.
Best, yeah.
So,
And we also want to say, oh gosh.
Do we have one more question?
One more.
One
Okay.
more question. Good, thank you for answering that.
Cool. My first statement is to Aron. When you were requesting that Cisco take you under his wing for apprenticeship.
Yes.
And the scene, I have my father's hands.
Yes.
I have his tenacity. I know I have something to offer. I just need a chance to prove it.
Yeah.
You dragged something at yourself in that scene reflected something I was feeling. And it was profound for me.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
And for Max, I have one request. When Walking Dead introduced Negan, the first thing I heard in my head was you saying Moogie. So if I could hear you saying Negan's name just as wrong, I would love that.
I don't know Negan.
You don't have to know him.
Is it Negan?
You just have to say Negan, like Moogie. But he's a very bad dude. But, so you can say it with a little...
How much time we have?
Very little time at this point. The band is behind us.
Negan.
I think so. That was pretty darn good.
Oh my God. Okay, just one thing. We're going to have to go back to the 24th century now, but I just want to say, we all want to say thank you so much, and we love the current Star Trek too. Do you guys watch Discovery? And we are so excited. Get that on CBS All Access, absolutely. I'm hosting a podcast on Discovery. It's on every Sunday night called Disco Nights. Aaron's got his podcast.
Seventh Rule with Sarab Lofton. And Ryan T.
And make sure you see Mr. Max Grodenchik on Sunday night with the Rat Pack. Thank you to Creation. You guys rock this every year, and we love you guys. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Gary. I love you too.
Thank you all very much.
And we are back. I hope you guys enjoyed the panel. Just a reminder, I am Heather Ferris, your unofficial host for STLV 2019. And I am joined by Fred and Rocky, and we are going to talk about the panel we just watched. I loved it, the Cola song. Oh my God, I was singing
Cola.
the Cola,
Yes.
That was so cool. And they remembered the words, and they actually sung it. That was so awesome.
What a clever little track, too. I mean,
It really is. It was very catchy, very, you know, like a what do they call it, an earworm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a big ear.
What a big ear. No pun intended.
Sluggo Cola.
Yes.
That reminds me of, what was that guy from, like, Willy Wonka? Like, Sluggo, Sluggo Candy? Or,
yeah, something like that. And it was like the competitor or whatever.
He was trying to steal the...
Yeah. All dark and everything.
I was channeling Slurm from Futurama, but that's okay.
And I was in between the two, like, yeah, I'm singing, we're doing good. It was awesome.
It was.
But yeah, so that panel, it was pretty much just totally improv, the whole panel. It was
It's quite entertaining.
It is.
And I think the highlight for me was hearing him say Negan.
Yes!
Like
and
Moogie.
he did that.
Yes.
Oh my
it was so funny.
That
I mean, like, you think, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Then he does it. It was just, oh, great.
Good. It was so awesome.
And it works.
It was, totally.
I'm just impressed that, you know, all these years after, you know, DS9 finished its run, how when you get the three of them back together, it's like they never left. You know, it's like they can still banter back and forth, and it sounds natural.
Yeah, it sounds like a family.
Exactly.
You know? That's comfort right there. That's, you know, they feel comfortable with each other. They have a natural chemistry. That's what I'm
That's
trying
what
to
it
say.
is.
They have a
Yep.
natural chemistry. And I love the part too where Leeta and Ron were talking about what happened after they had a kid and everything, and then Nog got all upset because Leeta went over and started rubbing, like, you know, Ron's ear, and he's like, "Hello,
no public affections. I'm right here.
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm your kid, and I'm right here. You can't do that." Oh, that was just awesome.
That was hilarious.
I was busting up laughing. And then also, I can't believe that one part where Nog flipped off the audience.
I could believe it. That was hilarious.
I was so surprised.
You know, you want to talk about writing. That'll get you excited.
Well, sure did get the whole audience, the whole auditorium excited. I think everyone enjoyed that.
That was hilarious.
They did give a fair warning, cover your kids' eyes.
But then afterwards, when they all uncovered their eyes, he's like, okay, by the way, it's like,
minor detail.
Right, wait, cover your eyes again, cover your eyes again. I forgot that part.
Not that big of a deal.
Minor details.
Minor details, totally. And then they talked about like the DS9 documentary and everything. They talked about like the family dynamics with not just them, but the whole cast and crew. And I just thought it was just really, really interesting. And also, they talked about how with DS9, it being like the first serial series. When I say serial series, I mean...
You're not talking about the breakfast.
Exactly.
As opposed to episodic.
Episodic, yeah. It's actually one big...
They're all connected
story
together.
Arc,
the big story,
Exactly.
I mean, for comparison, Star Trek The Next Generation was more episodic, where the episodes more or less stood alone. I mean, there were some underlying...
Yeah, you end up at the planet of the week, kind of thing. Yeah.
And they were saying that Ira really fought for that, too. Like, he fought tooth and nail against the production companies to have...
Well, it was something kind of new at the time, so...
He was ahead of his time,
Exactly, yes.
So, and I also like to how, and this is probably contributes to the whole chemistry that they have. They were talking about how they would go to their houses afterwards and like practice and stuff together.
That's right, yeah. That crew definitely would get together, and that's something you hear with the Discovery show is that they get together and they hang out and they have a good time, and you just get more natural chemistry out of the actors.
Yeah.
Then they're having a lot more fun, and they just perform better that way.
Yeah, and it gives the audience a better show too. You know, it seems more natural. It just seems like you get more value out of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, did you guys have anything else that you wanted to add to that panel? Is there anything that I didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
I just appreciated that Nog, the actor who plays him, they were on the podcast, right? So they've got their own podcast, The Seventh Rule. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it, he's got a big goatee on the podcast. He came up on stage, dude was clean shaven. I was trying to figure out how it would look to get that Ferengi, goatee going, and it doesn't work, I guess. So nice clean shaven Ferengi.
Yeah.
Well, now he has 365 days.
You grow it back out again.
Right,
yep.
Exactly. Totally. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed the panel. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. And join us again next time for our next panel, where we are going to be discussing whatever panel it is that we watched, because we had so many, it just sort of blended together. But thank you so much. We will see you in the next one. Talk to you later, you guys. Bye.
Bye.